Okay, and Gliss, let's get to some trade talk because I think this is where the meat of the conversation is. We don't want to talk about the Wizards. We want to talk about what's going on out there. And there's been a lot of stuff happening, a lot of rumors about where the Blazers are going to be involved, and they have been linked right now. Most recently, I've heard is to this Giannis deal, where Giannis is basically I don't know. You could listen to 100 different radio hosts, podcasters out there talking about what's going to happen to Giannis and if he wants out. And he's just his mindset has been a little bit different this year. It just seems a little bit different, but it does seem like Giannis does want out. And so of course, where's he going to go, Gliss? Well, the New York Knicks would make a lot of sense for Giannis, right? The thought is that the Blazers could get involved as a third team in that deal. And Jake Fisher wrote an article on his Substack recently, and I'm just going to kind of read it for you, Gliss. And he said, something to file away. Portland is definitely a team to track when it comes to eventual Antetokounmpo outcomes. No one is suggesting that a trade the Trailblazers is a scenario that the Giannis camp would push for, but Portland still controls Milwaukee's draft capital in 2028, 2029, and 2030, thanks to the team's Drew Holiday for Damian Lillard swap. And I'm told Blazers officials have always viewed Antetokounmpo's potential Milwaukee exit as a chance to improve their own roster by jumping into a multi-team deal. So there's absolutely a down-the-road world where the Blazers could try to butt into, say, Milwaukee, New York talks if Giannis to the Knicks ever gets serious. File this away as well. League sources say Portland has long admired Mikal Bridges going back to Lillard's first stint as a Blazer. So there you have it. Blazers being linked here in that Giannis deal. Interesting. I don't know kind of what the pieces are, but Gliss, is this something you're interested in? What's your kind of speculation on this talk, and what do you see happening? Obviously, another key part of this, Gliss, those Milwaukee picks. If Giannis leaves the Bucks, 2028, 2029, 2030, those are damn valuable. Damn valuable if Giannis leaves the Bucks. So keep that in mind.
I think the Blazers are in a really good position going into the trade deadline, and I've heard a lot of the stuff I've read is basically that they could be a buyer and a seller, like kind of that, the two most likely guys, or I should say the most likely scenario is that they're probably going to try to get one of those big contracts in Drew Holiday or Jeremy Grant. It makes a lot of sense for financial flexibility. They have lots of assets that they gained in that Dame trade, as you mentioned. So I could see a scenario where they move at least one of those guys and are able to also bring back, a bigger piece, or some other pieces to kind of fit the trajectory of where this team is hoping to go in the next couple seasons as they, kind of open their window into being a true competitor in the Western Conference. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Most of the stuff I've heard, especially in the last day or two, has revolved around that Milwaukee, New York deal. It sounds like that's been kind of brewing in the background for a while now. And I think it was Mark Stein I was reading this morning had noted that if Giannis were to end up in New York, it would make Drew Holiday going to New York as part of that deal, if the Blazers were to get involved, would make a lot more sense, and it would kind of complement, Giannis ending up with the Knicks. So I think that's interesting because, there's obviously a lot of pieces in New York that I think would be interesting. Karl Anthony Towns, I know, has been thrown out there a lot, or linked to the Blazers a little bit. Bridges, I've always liked him. I mean, I think he's kind of one of those guys that a lot of Blazer fans liked, as you mentioned, going back. We know that Dame and him are pretty close. So yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. At this point, I would be pretty surprised if they don't move at least Jeremy or Drew Holiday. And, I'd hate to see either of them go, but I think they have a lot of leverage to get a good deal that, will ultimately benefit them. And, we kind of talked about this last week. I think Blazer fans, we do fall in love with our players. We overvalue our players. I would hate to see Drew Holiday go. I've become such a fan of him, and I'm going to continue rooting for him wherever he goes if he does get traded. But given his age, how valuable he still is, especially to a team that's really feeling like they have a chance to contend for a championship, I can see why Portland would be kind of testing the waters with that, because I think that could, and it's probably honestly a lot of the reason that Joe Cronin wanted to make that deal, knowing that Dame wasn't going to be here this season. And bringing in a veteran to kind of help this team grow, but also just for the flexibility it gives them when you get to the trade deadline, especially given how difficult it is to get free agents in Portland. Being able to pull in kind of a big fish with someone like Drew Holiday and maybe some of those draft picks, I think is feasible, and that would be pretty exciting because I think they have a chance to do a deal where that could solidify them as a playoff team this year and kind of fit what they're trying to do moving forward.
Yeah, and I think one of the main things that you hit on that's so important is the Blazers are in kind of a great spot. They have a lot of flexibility with what the assets that they have. And so if they find that there's a good trade to make right now where you can get a piece, then you go get it. You go do it. But if there's not that opportunity at this trade deadline, then there's no worries. You sit and you wait it out.